Hello, everybody. Hello to the world, and welcome to the third session evening with the filmmakers. This time we will talk with authors from the European Young Talents Program #3. We are live from the Animateka online studio in Šiška, Ljubljana, Slovenia. I'm Igor Prassel, Program Director of the festival and co-selector of the student competition, together with
Šturm. Hi.
Okay, we should have 7 authors with us tonight for this session. In this moment, one she already dropped out, and I see Natalia Durszewicz joined us, right? Natalia, are you ready to be the first one to answer our question?
Yes, I can be the first one.
Okay, so let's do it. I will be first. Okay, I will just read a short bio of each of you at the beginning. So Natalia Durszewicz, born in 1995 in Bydgoszcz, the home of Animateka, Festival of Animation.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Graduate of the Leon Vyshkolovsky Secondary Art School and recipient of the Graphic Artist Diploma in 2015. Currently, she's a student of animated film and special effects at the film school in Łódź. Her filmography includes Studium and Ovule. Is it correct, the bio? Okay.
Yes.
So before talking about your film, Portrait of a Woman, I would like to ask you if you can tell us a little bit more about this collaborative film, hashtag Sprzeciw Polek, hashtag Polish Women's Resistance, made by many students from your school. And that was a film that we presented at the opening program of this year online Animateka edition.
Yes, it was very, after they announced that abortion law will be very strict, students of our school decided to make an animated protest. All my friends from all the years of animation department, we made it in 3 days, and it had a big impact online. I saw many websites were sharing that. And till today, we are still protesting as well in physical, not only in artistic manner. We walk, and maybe you heard that there are some difficulties with the police. But yes, we made this protest, and I'm very happy that we were brave enough to do it, and that many of us did it. Like almost every person in the animation department put an effort to animate something to show our disagreement with the decision of the government.
Well, compliments, and say it to all your colleagues, and I think that we are all with you. And actually, it was
thank you very much. Yes,
it was a very good way to show around the world your protest, which is not only yours. Unfortunately, the world in which we live now is becoming really, really ugly and dark.
Oh yeah.
But okay, let's keep working. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep talking. Let's keep watching films and discuss artistic films. So, Natalia, Portrait of a Woman is a very refined take where your visuals meet the interpretation of the poetry of Wisława Szymborska. Has the project started to grow from this poetry, or there was some other reason that you started this film?
I made this film in my 3rd year. I was planning to make some film about a woman, life of a woman, inspired by the life of my mom or grandmother. So I decided to use that poem because I was always a big fan of Wisława Szymborska's poetry as well. So it was just matching my idea at that time. So I decided to visualize this poem about woman and merge it with my artistic interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, your film is quite attuned to the situations that are now also in Poland, because in a way it talks about social expectations society have towards women. I especially like, because your film has some very strong visuals, we have very strong voiceover and also very strong and powerful music. So I think that at some point everything almost becomes a bit too much, like all those social expectations are too much for the women. So how did you think about the visuals, the voiceover and sound in terms with the theme of your film?
I wanted everything to be to affect very strongly on the audience. I'm always paying very big attention to the visuals while I'm making my film, visuals and the music. So as far as I'm capable of it, I'm trying both of these things to be very strong and to affect very strong on the people, on the audience. But yes, actually in this one, it can be seen like that everything is too much for the main character, for the woman, for the expectations are too high. Therefore, we're trying to do 100% of ourselves, which is not possible all the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of red color, and one of the symbols that keeps reappearing is pomegranate. Is there any specific symbolism behind that?
Actually, I was thinking it can be referred to the forbidden fruit from the Garden of Eden. Or also pomegranate has some very sexual symbolism, and it's a symbol of fertility as well, as far as I remember. But my main goal was to refer to the Bible, and also the juice from pomegranate looks like a blood. It's also like there is this scene that she's holding the pomegranate next to her womb and it's bleeding. So this was my main goal, to show it as something forbidden. I would say forbidden fruit.
Yeah, you draw your film with the help of a 2D computer program, right?
Yes.
So
exactly.
was it TV Paint? And I'm asking that because the backgrounds in some part of your films look like color on glass animation. But if I'm not wrong, you can achieve this effect with TV Paint.
No, I was using for animating the lines, the movement. I was using Photoshop. And coloring the characters as well. There are very nice brushes which look like analog animation paint on glass. But some of the backgrounds are analog paint on glass made under the camera with a dragon frame, with oil paint on it. Yes. So yes, it's mixed media.
Okay. Obviously, you like to experiment a lot with colors with the visual composition and stuff like that. So, are you also like painting or?
Yes, I love painting. I graduated from this high school of arts. For a short period, I was considering to go to study in Academy of Fine Arts, which sometimes I regret I didn't do. Maybe after graduating this school, maybe I will go to study once again, like in Academy of Fine Arts, because I really like painting and I miss that on everyday basis. So therefore I'm trying to pay very big attention to the visual parts of my films, to merge all two passions, to love to paintings and love to the movie making. And
Okay, thank you very much for now, Natalia.
Thank you very much.
Dziękujemy bardzo. And we move to Croatia, to Zagreb, where Kata Gugić is the author of the film Cockpera. So, Kata. Yeah. Kata Gugić was born in 1990 in Zagreb. She graduated fashion design from the Faculty of Textile Technology with a focus on theater costume. During volunteer work at AnimaFest Zagreb, she developed an interest for indie animation and decided to enroll in the MA in Animation and New Media at the Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb. She graduated in 2019 with her thesis film Cockpera. During her studies, she worked on sets and costumes for theater and animated shorts and has been actively involved in the underground music scene as a programmer and promoter. Everything correct?
Yes, more or less, yes.
Okay, let's start to analyze a little bit your film. So I'm saying, like, what a crazy idea to make a cartoon opera inspired by Aesop's fable featuring anthropomorphic chicks and cocks performing on stage. Are there any rational reason for all this mix of idea that you put in, taking like a traditional fable and then shaping it like this?
Well, it's difficult to say whether there is a rational reason to do this, but it made sense to me when I started. Basically, when I read the story, I thought it had a lot of humor in it. I immediately, as I worked in theater and music, I kind of immediately saw this as a singing competition between two cocks. It was sort of a safe space to go there, and then opera was kind of a logical option for this, because it allowed me to take these extreme emotions and present them in this grandiose way, since this is kind of what it deals with. And then as I included this and began to reference opera more, I found solutions for some character relations and visuals and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you depicted your anthropomorphic characters with a human body except for the heads. Was this to enhance the erotic sexual context of the film, or any other reason for this decision?
Well, I mean, it's a fable. Fable isn't really about animals. So why not? I mean, they're not entirely human. They have kind of wingy hands and a mixture of both features. But yes, I mean, it's a story about humans. There is a lot of erotic subtext in there, so this made sense.
Music is obviously a very important part of the film. And I was wondering, how did you choose this specific music, and if you can tell us a bit more about the whole sound design.
The music was composed. This is original music for the film that was done by Veron Šalamon. I gave him like an animatic that was pretty rough, and then he composed the basic for it, and then afterwards, then I animated, and then in the end we recorded singers. They were kind of the last thing to do. Yeah, and afterwards I even did bits of animation. So it was a lot of back and forth with the sound, with the composer, since it had to work as a whole.
The whole tone of the film is quite humorous, and like the dramaturgy is spot on and gets like this perfect climax at the end. I think the end is really brilliant, and I was wondering if this was something that is already in the Aesop's tale, or was it something that you added?
Yes, I mean, this is the end. The cocky cock dies. Spoiler alert. I mean, I did add some changes. It's a human hand and not an eagle, but I think the point is still there. And I mean, the humor is there because this feeling of grandiosity and big self-importance is very humorous. I believe it's funny to observe it and to experience it. So it's a funny story because of it.
It's true.
In your short animation career, you have also worked as set and props designer on stop-motion short films, mainly with Thomas Johnson and Ivana Bošnjak. Is there a particular reason you decided to draw your diploma film instead of making it maybe with stop-motion puppets? Okay, probably we know that stop-motion puppets, it's much more, it takes time and energy and money and a bigger team. But is this the only reason? Why did you draw?
No, it's not the only reason. I guess I was always more drawn, no pun intended, to draw animation. It's the kind of animation that I grew up on, and not just grew up, that I've been mostly watching my whole life. And I always, this was always a wish to make something like this. And as I did some stop motion exercises, let's say, for university, but I found hand-drawn animation most enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kata, you're out of school now. What is next? Will you stay connected with as a professional with the animation film? Is it? I think in Croatia it's quite okay, the situation in terms of like many producers there, and there is quite stable financial support. So, what are your next steps?
Yes, for sure. I've worked on a project since I graduated. Well, on more. I am developing my new film now. So I'm excited for that, and that's it. Yes, I'll continue doing this.
Okay, thank you, Kata, and hope to see you with a new film live in Ljubljana, as it should be at festivals.
Yes, hope so too. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have to go on. The the time clocks. So next one is Daniel Quirke with the film "The Song of a Lost Boy," made for the National Film and Television School. So Daniel is a director who specializes in stop motion and mixed media techniques. Coming from a fine art background, he studied BA animation at Middlesex University before going on to the National Film and Television School. Is this correct, Daniel?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So let's say that compared to other student films, usually the NFTS productions are more complex in terms of big teams involved and probably also having a bigger budget than other school films. Can you explain a little bit more about the production process of your film? How long it took to make, how many animators and other collaborators you had? So like this, the complete package, was it a production so big as it seems when you watch the end credits?
So yeah, it was one of the reasons why I decided to go to this. Well, I wanted to go to this school was to be able to work in a team. I'd worked on films by myself before, but I wanted the kind of the challenge of working in a team, get out of my kind of comfort zone a bit. And so for I mean, most of the year it was just me and one other animator who, well, yeah, we were animating the whole film, sometimes on two sets, like one of us on each set, but then sometimes both of us on the same set. So in terms of the production process, we started in November 2018, and so that was me, a producer and a writer. We kind of worked out the themes that we wanted to explore and then gradually wrote the film. And then we gradually brought on the other kind of heads of production, like cinematography, there was a production designer, editor, etc., all the other roles, but mostly it was there are all those people you see in the end credits, but for a long part of that is kind of animating it, then editing it with the editor, talking with the sound designer about the sound, and then the composer about the music. I mean, for this, because the music was quite a big part of it, that I had a lot of dialogue with him quite early on, and he was creating stuff for me to animate to. So there was, there were these kind of core members, but then there are a lot of assistants that helped on making the sets. There are several sets throughout the film. We had lots of assistants that helped with that, like amazing assistants that came in and volunteered, and model makers as well. So there is.
Sorry, continue, please.
No, there is that amazing kind of the facilities there and the connections that the school has to people are kind enough to volunteer and help out as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a great school, at least according to the films we are getting each year, and we are really kind of how to say, like, astonished on the quality level and on the cinematography and on the film language that is coming with the films from your school. But just to understand, so were you as a director choosing your team, or was it a job of the producer?
It was the two of us. Because we were one of the first on board. We there are basically at the school there are all these different courses. So like a cinematography course, production design course, and there are 8 students on each of those courses. And so we had 8 students on the animation course, and each of us 8 students paired up with one other person from another course, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's the system, like, to connect students from different departments. So
and we would just pitch to them and see if they wanted to work with us.
Okay, got it. Is the premise of the film based on some real events that happened to you or somebody that you know, or is there another source for the main idea of the film, or it's completely invented?
This came from a lot of like personal experience and kind of feelings that I had about, I guess, growing up. And I was never in a choir, but brought up in, like, I'm from a religious family. I still go to church and so on. But it was this kind of, the kind of conflict that comes from that, and comparing myself to friends that I had and feeling kind of embarrassed at times or wanting to kind of run away. And the conflict and the tension, that there was this feeling of it not being cool or something like that. So it was kind of all coming out of those personal experiences, I guess, from that. And trying to, I guess it's all about trying to find a voice and not trying to kind of be someone that you feel that you have to be, but to kind of exploring who you are and your place in the world, basically.
Okay, being sincere and dig inside yourself to find the emotions, probably, that then you transport to the audience, to the viewer.
Yeah. That was the intention.
Yeah.
You already mentioned that there was a lot of work for the sound, because, like with Cockpera, this is a film in which sounds and rhythms are crucial elements. And I assume that there was really a lot of work involved in making this, like, pitch perfect synergy between puppet animation and sounds. So maybe you can tell us a bit more about this. How did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, so it was sound and music is, as I'm sure for a lot of people, is a big influence. For me, it's often I get a lot of my ideas from music, or especially even like listening to certain moods or even just tones. That's where it generates a lot of ideas for me. So I did want this to be based around music, and was quite a collaboration between myself and the composer. And he also wanted there to be a collaboration between the music and the image. So, for example, this nomadic tribe that go through the desert playing instruments that they've crafted, and made from broken objects that they found. He really thought it and felt strongly that they should be made from, they can't be, I don't know, like a trumpet that he's recorded in the studio. They have to be instruments that he's kind of found himself or constructed himself. And so he bought lots of PVC pipes and made these flutes, made the drums. He like programmed it by recording lots of banging on pots, pans, all the barrels, all these different sorts of things. And then the vocals as well. It was a mixture between getting quite well. Yeah, we recorded a choir boy who an amazing kind of choir boy as well. But yeah, it really was this kind of dialogue between the music and the image, and kind of going back and forth between myself and him.
You already mentioned those amazing cars that we see in your film, but like the whole scenography, from the cathedral and the desert, the cave, they are all just really very meticulous and amazing. So how long did you work on set? And I was wondering if you had any visual references, like for those cars. I think a lot of us were reminded of Mad Max movies and so on.
Yeah, so there was a period of time between I think March and May where we were focused on set building and also puppet making and prop building. And so for a lot of the imagery, I guess it was myself and the production designer, and bringing back and forth a lot of imagery. For me, the desert was quite important as this kind of quite hostile place that you feel the heat, and in the sense of why I designed the puppets out of wax, this kind of tension between wax puppets and the heat of a desert I found quite interesting. And the vehicles, they were designed by the production designer Stephen, and he was looking at a lot of, yeah, we initially, when I pitched this, it was kind of Mad Maxy even more, but we tried to kind of get a bit further away from that, and it's slightly steampunky, but a mixture of basically found objects that had been purposed together, into making these vehicles.
Okay, last question for Daniel, and we stay somehow with references. The aesthetic of your wax puppets remind me a little bit of the beautifully ugly looking puppets of Robert Morgan, the cult British independent animator making horror animated films. Is he a reference for your work? Can you talk about your personal references in the field of art for the very end?
He wasn't a at least consciously, he wasn't a reference. I do know of his work quite well. I guess I was looking through a lot of Pinterest. I mean, I use Pinterest a lot as a reference for imagery. And I guess, yeah, I was just looking at a lot of different types of sculpture that's quite tactile, using lots of different materials. And that's mostly where I came to the design. Also, I guess it was more intuitive in the sense of I had a sense of imagery that I wanted to use as a reference, and then started to sculpt and see what came. Basically, I did some kind of quick designs that were drawn, but yeah, there were a huge mix of references that I basically have on a Pinterest board.
But for you, talking about classical art or like going back into art history, is there like maybe few names, painters or sculptures, or? Well, you don't have to. If you have to dig too long to find it, then.
I mean, Anselm Kiefer, I get just off the top of my head, it's not really in terms of for puppet design, but in terms of in painting in general, I like the very physical aspect of those paintings and the very tactile nature. And so for me, it's a lot about the materials, and I don't know how, and especially when I'm feeling them and sculpting it, it really kind of informs how I kind of design the characters.
Actually, for you, sculpture is your medium originally.
Originally, it was painting, but I never felt that confident in it. I could copy a picture and paint like that, but as soon as I started to sculpt, yeah, I think that's where I feel more comfortable.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. We hope to get more great and beautifully ugly films from you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have to continue, and I'm checking out. Is Laura Benavides Ramírez? She's there. Yes, Laura. She just joined. So Laura, you are next. Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I arrived.
No problem. You are there, so that's the most important thing. So I read a short biography of yours first. Laura Benavides Ramírez, queer artist, animation filmmaker. She's interested in the poetic experimentation taking to the animation format in order to question concepts of gender, sexual identity, corporeality, intimacy, and memory. Is correct this biography, or you want to change it a little bit?
That's me.
Okay, good. Okay, your film titled Displaced starts and develops from a mix of indigenous songs. Is it a Sami song that we hear at the beginning? Can you tell us a little bit more about this specific song? And was that your starting point for the whole project, like to listen to the indigenous people music?
The music was made by Mari Mentalo. She's like Estonian musician. And actually the music came the last in the film. I was just very focused on drawing and be able to finish all these drawings. So it was not really an inspiration, but I had very clear that the beginning of the film has to be this like entering into the born of this person. So I had clear that it had to be like a lullaby song. And I tell her like to create this, so she created this song for the film, and of course I give her references about songs from Colombian indigenous people, but this sounds actually more close to Estonian roots, and of course the lyrics is also Estonian.
Well, I just realized that in this program, we maybe unconsciously programmed a lot of films with very strong sound. And I want to stay a little bit on the topic of sound, because I think the sound in your film is really super complex. There are so many different elements to it. We hear like a lot of different instruments. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about all those instruments that you used? Are some of those instruments also indigenous?
I cannot answer very well that question because I didn't make the song myself. I work with a sound designer and he lives in Colombia, so I was very far away from all the process. But I know that he likes to work with root instruments, like he likes to make the sounds by itself. His name is Edgar, and Edgar Cortés Angarita. And the indication that I give to him about the sound is like try to keep it simple and in a kind of like metaphorical level, because I didn't want the sound to be literal, like that there's steps, we hear steps, so it's like, okay, there is steps, what else can we take? So it's kind of like very organic and also very corporal sound, but I mean, about the process I cannot tell too much because I didn't make it myself.
Let's move from sound, which at the end we will return because it's important also for the end of your film. But let's talk about dance choreography. Is it coming from, again, like traditional dances? Because now I understand that you are using, you were talking about your thinking about indigenous people, not only in the east of Europe or in, but also in Colombia, where you come from. So did you you use traditional dances, or have you improvised the choreography, and have you used like a dancer for just to draw on her dance directly in front of you? Or
I made the choreography myself, so I will say I'm the choreographer of the film. It's not traditional dance at all. It's more the indigenous factor is comes from a social situation that happens in Colombia, and also, I mean, everywhere in the world. Like in Europe, there has been also like these things that massive amounts of people are taken away from one place to another. So in general, the film deals with this topic. But I choose this indigenous character because this is a specific thing that happens a lot in Colombia. Like indigenous people, they are the more vulnerable and they are the ones that are more connected with the earth. So that's why it's kind of like this motive of being like an indigenous woman. And the choreograph I developed it myself. And I did dance. I did hit myself against the walls. Yeah, so I developed all the movements. I made them. I also have made dance. So of course it's not only mine, but of course I've taken like a lot of contemporary classes, and of course it comes also from teachers that I have had from dance.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit about the visual style of the film, which is sort of basic but very unique. It maybe reminded me of some cave paintings or something like that. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the visual style.
I will say it's based a lot in the exploration of the line, and this is like interest that I took from Estonia, because this is a lot in our like lessons, let's say. We see a lot like how to be playful with the line. This is not caricature like in many students' films, but I wanted to take the impression of the movement using only the line, and I focus on that, and I focus on animated drawing, and I don't know, I wanted to use something simple, and I draw all the film in paper, like in pencil, let's say, and then in the back of the paper I redraw it, kind of like with like kind of like printing somehow like that. So it's like it's still the line, but the line with texture and color. So this is about the visual style. I always imagine it black and white. It was like too much work to make more color or to do anything else. It's like here we work like alone. So you have a film, you have to make it. No one, well, yeah, sometimes, yeah, actually I did have help, but a bit of help from Pablo, which also studied with me. And yeah, this is about the visual style. I don't know, for me it doesn't look raw or something. I don't know why people say it's like cave or very primitive. For me, I don't know. I guess it's just a drawing.
No, but actually, she said it as a compliment. I mean,
okay.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, how should I say? You know, it has a power in the image.
Yeah.
There's a power that's very strong. So I meant it more in that way.
Oh yeah, it's a nice compliment. I like it. Like, it's good to see that people think this about your drawings. Like, I never think myself like, oh yeah, this looks like powerful. I'm like, ah.
Laura, let me add to this that actually you are the last generation of students at EKA studying under the guidance of Prit and Olga Pern. And I think that there is something Parnesque also in your film, like this raw line, like Anna said, this kind of just the movement. So I think that you learn a lot from Prit and Olga, right?
Yeah. It's like, I think the most interesting was like to free the drawing from, like, for example, for copying, or to realize that my ugly drawings are beautiful. And they were telling me like, yeah, your drawings are beautiful. I was like, but they are so ugly. Like, look at that face or that things. And they are like, no, it's okay. Don't change it. Don't make it better. Just keep going. So yeah, this was beautiful.
Okay, last question, and please just give us a fast answer because we have two more authors waiting. At the very end of the film, you let us know with the sound that the woman ends in the city, and she doesn't feel very well about this. We hear all the car honking. So, what is the message that you wanted to share with this final scene?
Well, yes, is what you say. This is the story. I mean, like, I cannot explain it because it will be very bad. Like, there is not a message. It's just like, this is the feeling of the body when you take it out of the city, right? Like, you just feel disconnected and everything is around you, and yeah, you are in the city, but you just travel like a long way. And this is like, it's kind of like, look, here you are, like, you are here with this girl in the end of the travel, and you are displaced now.
Okay, I thought actually, because I know about stories about indigenous people, especially in Canada, when they bring them from the far north down to the cities, and they give them like alcohol to drink, and then they live on the streets, and they are there just to drink. But yeah, so probably there are similar stories about indigenous people getting in urban centers and losing their connections with the nature, probably, no?
Totally, it happens the same in Bogota. Like, you see these amazing women in the street, like, asking, and you are like, but why are you here? So it's the same situation that in Canada is. Yeah, okay. It's connected to that totally.
Okay, muchas gracias, Laura.
Gracias, Aita.
Thank you. And we go to Débora Mendes, the author of the film Cellfie. Débora is from Portugal, and I read the bio. Born in Lisbon, 1991, Débora Mendes had her initial training in the medical field. She studied animation cinema at the Universidade Lusófona de Lisboa. She's currently working on the feature film of the animation film producer Sardinha Mlata, and she's also interested in the areas of illustration, painting, and photography. Is still okay, this bio, Débora?
Hello, I'm not currently working on the feature film anymore. I'm doing a music video, but yeah, I work there.
Okay, that's good. Maybe you will maybe explain us later what happened with the feature film, but okay, can you tell us first more about the school and how the study of animation is organized at the Universidade Lusófona de Humanidades e Tecnologias?
Yes, the degree has 3 years, and in the last year we have to do 2 animated films. In the first semester, we made a documentary, and in the second semester, our graduation film, we did a more abstract. That is when I did Cellfie. We learn from 3D to stop motion, 2D. Yeah, we learn most types of animation, and I really like that about the school. And our professors allow us to give us the support to make our own projects without getting too much of their opinion or style. They help us with what we want to pursue in our movies.
Okay. Okay, your film Cellfie starts in a laboratory with the scientist, female scientist, exploring some viruses through a microscope. What kind of viruses is she researching?
Well, she's not looking at the virus. She's looking at cells, some of plants, and then other ones human cells. There is a scene where also appears bacteria, but most of the times it's human cells. It's like someone who's looking for to know something. What I wanted to portray was when we look at something that is very small and we can do a parallel between like our scale or even a bigger scale. So I wanted to show someone who was looking for herself in the process, but in a more literal way because she's looking at her own cells.
You kind of already answered to one of the questions I had, because I really liked how you portrayed these cells like they are some kind of unknown universe in a way. It's a very like philosophical film in that way. So I was wondering if you could say a little about the ideas that went into this film. But you already just did. But if you have some more, please.
Well, I can say that when I started this film, what was asked of us was to make an abstract movie without following like the steps we are used to do, like storyline, storyboard, script. Like we went straight to animation. We were supposed to animate something we wanted to show without thinking of a narrative. And after that, we gather all this that we did, and we had to try to make it work together in a very abstract way. And that's when I realized that most of the scenes I have animated were about the human body and how someone was looking at them from an outside world. And so I started to make this narrative working that way.
It says in your biography that you started your initial training in medical field. So I was wondering what made you change your professional field, and if is what we see in your film actually maybe medically accurate, or did you take more creative approach to the human cell?
Well, I've always wanted to pursue the field of the arts. I wanted to be, initially I wanted to be a painter, but I also liked animation, and because of family pressure, I ended up in medicine. But as soon as I had the opportunity, and I was actually taking another course at the time in the healthcare area. I was in clinical physiology after I finished my first degree, and I asked to be transferred to animation. At the time was what I was most interested in this field, and I'm really happy I did that. Well, about the movie, a lot of things are not accurate in terms of how things move. But for example, when we see the cell has many more things inside, but those I did the most basic ones, but they don't move in the way they are supposed to. So I think in terms of movement, I did a more creative approach, but in terms of the elements, the main elements are there.
Okay, thank you, Débora. We have 10 more minutes to the end, and they should be for the last author waiting for the question. Thank you again. Thank you, Débora. So, Lise Rémon, born 1995 in Angers, France, studied illustration at École Estienne in Paris from 2013 to 2016. After graduation, she began her studies in animation at the ENSAT, École Nationale Supérieure des Arts Décoratifs, where she is due to graduate in 2020. From October 2018 to March 2019, she was an exchange student at the Tokyo University of the Arts, Tokyo Gaidai Graduate School of Film and New Media, where she completed at the other end of the table. Her interest is in narrative storytelling and explores this notion in her scenarios and storyboards. That's your bio, is correct?
Yes, and now I'm graduated.
Aha, wow, super.
Cool.
You can clear out that part as well. So actually, this is your graduation film, and
No.
now you are out. No.
No, I'm doing my graduation film now because I didn't finish, but I will finish soon, I hope.
Okay. Before we start to talk about your film, can you explain how lucky you were to become an exchange student at the prestigious academy with the animated department led by Koji Yamamura in Tokyo?
Yes, it's luck so much because I was in ENSAD and we have to do exchange students and fourth year, and I didn't really know where to go. And we went in AnimaFest in Zagreb with my class, and we meet Ilan and Guyen, and he said, "Oh, someone in your class, come, we can give scholarship." And I said, "Oh, yes, me." And 3 months after, I was in Japan with and I don't know Japanese, but I was there, and I made this movie there, and it was very, very I don't know, very good experience for me. And I wanted to go there when I was teenager. It was a big, big dream. And I forgot it during 10 years, I think, like with the life and all. And when I arrived in Japan, I was like, realized I made what I wanted to do, like animation in Japan when I was teenager, but I forget this. It was like very important for me, I think, but I didn't really choose. I just say, okay, yes.
Okay, great coincidence, which also it's telling that it's very good to travel to festivals when we will have the chance to travel again, because there you can really meet people that will maybe change your life. And just to mention, Ilan Nguyen is a Vietnamese, Japanese, French, actually film theoretician and professor that is working as well in Tokyo, no, at the Gaidai, and also being a translator.
And that's why he asked someone in my class to come, because we have a pattern area. Yes, in between the two schools. So it was normal to put someone in the school in Gaidai, someone from my class, but no one asked for, because we don't speak Japanese. So we was a little bit afraid, but I don't know. I said yes. It was a good idea.
Okay. So I guess because if we look at the end credits of your film, all the sound design was made by Japanese artists. So I guess that actually you finished, you made your film in Japan during your stay there.
Yes, I stayed 6 months there, and actually I did the scenario and the storyboard before go there. But when I arrived, I had to translate it and do all the production and all the post-production there. So I worked with Japanese artists, like the actors was Japanese, the music designer and sound designer was Japanese too. And it was not easy all the time to communicate, but I was very helped by Ilan and by some students they can speak English or French. So it's very good, but not all the time easy. Sometimes we missed some because they thought I'm good in English, so I am the reference of English there. But look at this.
I think you're very natural, and actually it's like when you are a natural person, then it's easier to make connections and to collaborate with other cultures and to understand also the body language and everything, right?
Yes, it's I wanted to make some friends, and so I talk. I like to talk. I say stupid things, but I like to talk.
So was this experiences in lack of communication also like the inspiration for the theme of your film? I think in a way it talks about the modern communication or the impossibility of it, and I think it kind of really became very relevant in this past year since we are all talking over the screens.
Yes. How to say? What's the question, really?
What was the inspiration for the theme for your film?
It's my everyday life, and also some experience I have of with this, and some moments. It's important to understand each other, but without the body, it's not possible to get it really. So yes, I had some experiences like very sad on Skype, like we are looking each other like it's hardcore. We look to each other, but we are not together. It's you can act it like, okay, I can see you, but I see you are not there, and it's what the first inspiration, and after yes, it's about a breakup actually.
Okay, maybe last question. Yeah, we are already running almost out of time, but the visual style of your film is really minimalistic, but I think it fits very well with this dramatic story that's happening there between two people. How much have you been thinking of this, of using such a visual style and storytelling visual solutions as the split screen and frame and space design? So you were thinking a lot about this, or you went and you improvised and you just?
No. The most important thing in this work, it was the storyboard. I spent the most creative time on this, and after it's blocked and I do it, I can find like I don't know how to say acting and things like that, but all the storyboard it made before I animate. So at first I write the dialogues, and I try to find with cutting papers some how I can make them together and not together, and very far away from each other in the same space. Like with this table, they separated and also connected them. And so I try to find with these shapes of the table all the way I can put them in the screen and things like that. And yes, and the simple. For me, it was logical to make it very simple. I love painting and drawings and things like that. I come from the comic books first, so make some squares and things like that is very logical for me. And yes, simple drawings was logical for this thing for me, like very sober and clear.
Actually, maybe it can sound that to make a simple drawing, to make a drawing look so simple, it's very easy, but probably it's not, because you really have to take away everything that is not needed and just use the essence. And
yes,
it was in your case, I think.
Yes, at first I try to find this so much. It makes it, yes, during long time. Like at first, there was colors and the style was not that sober, and I try to eliminate all the thing we don't need to very clear.
Okay, Lise, thank you very much, and good luck with finishing your diploma, and also there after in your professional life, which we hope that you and all of you will achieve in animation or in the arts. Is there anybody that wants to add something that maybe we forgot? And we are checking now. We had 23 people online. What film did Lise make? I missed the name. She's saying Lise Rémon made A bout de la table, at the other end of the table. It's a French-Japanese co-production. Irina Maximoska, for Lise Rémon, it's difficult to do a movie in a language you don't speak. Okay, Lise, is it difficult to do a movie in a language you don't speak?
It was a challenge when we did the recording with the actors, because at first it was made it in French. I asked for translation in English and in Japanese. And during the recording, I was with a Japanese student and Ilan to traduce me in French, and the Japanese student were there to say, okay, they play good. The way they play the characters is natural, because we can't say this. At first, I made some records in French, but for me, it's so easy to see if it's good or not. And to work on this report, the Japanese report, it was very good, because I don't think if it's a good play or not. She said to me, it's good play. For me, it was yes. And I can forget it and do what I have to do without pressure.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Matjaž, do we still? Yeah, we have Dana Vukajlović asking Débora, can you please repeat the name of your school? I can do it for you. Yeah, okay, do it, Débora.
It's Universidade Lusófona de Humanidades e Tecnologias de Lisboa.
How beautiful this. Okay, is this it with questions from the audience? Thank you very much, audience, for following us, for asking questions. It's very important, so we know that you are genuinely interested. Thank you again, everybody, for your patience, for your taking some long questions and giving us quite short answers. We really wish you good luck with your future work, and I really hope to meet you all in Ljubljana live in the next future. Stay with us also later on if you will have time, and that's also for the audience listening. At 8 o'clock we will talk with the authors in the main Animateka competition, meaning films from Central and Eastern European countries, hosted by me and our co-host Chris Robinson, program director of the Ottawa International Animation Film Festival. Thank you very much, and stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.